In a quiet, unassuming small town, there lived a bright young boy named Ryan. He wasn't just average, he was exceptionally smart, possessing a natural brilliance that made learning seem easy. Everyone around him saw that he had immense potential, the kind of raw talent that suggested he could achieve anything he set his mind to. Ryan had a very specific and ambitious dream. He wanted to become a doctor. For a long time, everything seemed to be falling into place. His path was laid out, and his goal was crystal clear. However, despite his intelligence, Ryan faced a significant internal adversary. He could not control his own mind. Ryan's mind was perpetually restless, like a leaf blowing in the wind. Every time he sat down at his desk to study for his medical entrance exams, his focus would fracture. Within minutes, his eyes would drift from his textbooks to the glowing screen of his smartphone. A quick check of a notification would turn into 20 minutes on Facebook, then an hour on YouTube. Even without the phone, his mind would drift into elaborate daydreams, fantasizing about a future success he hadn't yet earned. He would constantly comfort himself with a dangerous lie. "Oh, there is still plenty of time. I'm smart enough to catch up. I'll just study later." But the funny and tragic thing about later was that it never truly arrived. It was always pushed to tomorrow and then the day after. His parents noticed this habit, and even his teachers at school expressed concern. They would gently warn him, telling him how crucial it was to cultivate deep focus and discipline. But Ryan, blinded by his own natural talent, dismissed their advice. He believed that intelligence alone was the key to the world. If someone is smart, they will naturally succeed, he reasoned. He thought that hard work and discipline were for those who weren't as gifted as he was. Then reality struck hard. The day the results of the major school scholarship exam were released, Ryan felt a surge of nervous excitement. He had hoped in his heart that his natural ability would carry him through, and that winning this scholarship would smooth his path to medical school. But when he scanned the list and found his name, his heart shattered. He had failed. It wasn't just a low score. He had missed the mark completely. To make matters worse, his friends, those who perhaps weren't as naturally gifted as him, but had studied with consistency, had all performed exceptionally well. The same teachers who had once praised his potential now looked at him with a mix of sympathy and disappointment. That evening, Ryan sat alone in his room, surrounded by silence. A deep sense of shame washed over him. He knew deep down that he wasn't lacking in intelligence, he was lacking in character. He had wasted his most valuable resource, time. In that moment of painful clarity, Ryan realized a life-changing truth. Being smart is not enough. Without the backbone of discipline, talent is just wasted potential. Ryan made a decision right then and there. He refused to let this failure define his future. He needed to change, but he knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed a mentor who understood the mechanics of the mind. He sought out Coach Miller, the school's physical education teacher. Coach Miller was a man of few words but immense presence. He was known not just for coaching sports but for building character. It was whispered among the students that even the most chaotic, unfocused boys would eventually find calm and discipline under Coach Miller's guidance. Ryan approached the coach after school. "Coach," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "I have a problem. I just can't focus on my studies. Whenever I try to sit down and work, my mind jumps from one thing to another like a monkey. I feel helpless. What can I do to improve my concentration?" Coach Miller looked at the boy, smiling gently. He saw the desperation in Ryan's eyes. "Controlling the mind is the hardest sport of all, Ryan," he said. "Come with me. Let me show you something." He led Ryan out to the grassy expanse of the school playground. From the equipment room, the coach brought out a bow and a single arrow. He walked to the far end of the field and set up a target board. Returning to Ryan, he handed him the bow.
"I want you to hit the center of that board," Miller said. "If you can hit the bullseye, I'll know how focused you really are." Ryan took the bow, pulled back the string, and aimed. He released the arrow. Whoosh!
It flew wide, missing the center and sticking harmlessly into the grass near the edge of the board. The coach didn't look surprised. He asked calmly, "Ryan, tell me, what were you looking at when you shot that arrow?" Ryan blinked, confused. "Well, I was looking at the target, of course, but I also saw the trees swaying in the wind, the other students on the field, and the clouds moving above the board." Coach Miller shook his head slowly. "That is your real problem," he said firmly. "You are looking at everything at the same time. A true archer, a successful person, sees only the target. Nothing else exists." He placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "Your mind is cluttered, Ryan. It is busy with everything around you. Your phone, social media, the noise of the world. If you want to succeed in life, especially as a doctor, you must develop tunnel vision. During study time, you must see only your goal." Ryan nodded, absorbing the lesson. "I understand the concept, Coach, but how do I actually do it? Where do I start?" Coach Miller held up 4 fingers. "There are 4 rules. They are simple to say but hard to follow. If you master them, you will master your mind. 1. Control your thoughts. You must become the guardian of your own mind. Whenever you catch your thoughts drifting to games or daydreams, you must actively catch yourself. Remind yourself sternly, "This is my study time. I must focus now." You have to be the boss of your own brain. 2. Make a routine. Chaos creates distraction. You need structure. Create a strict daily schedule. Decide exactly when you will study and when you will rest. If you stick to this, your brain will eventually enter study mode automatically at those specific times. 3. Keep distractions away. Willpower is limited, so don't test it. Your phone, the TV, and those useless apps are thieves stealing your future. Physically remove them. Put your phone in another room while you study, out of sight, out of mind. 4. Practice. Every day. Discipline is a muscle. It doesn't grow overnight. You must build small habits every single day. Consistency is the real key to mental strength. Ryan memorized these words. He went home and completely overhauled his life. He created a rigid schedule. When he sat down to study, he turned his phone off and buried it in his drawer. At first, it was excruciating. His mind rebelled. It craved the dopamine hit of social media. It wanted to wander. But every time his focus slipped, Ryan remembered the arrow missing the target. He remembered the shame of his failure. He forced his attention back to his books. "My goal is to become a doctor," he would whisper to himself. Slowly, painfully, the tide began to turn. What was once a struggle became a habit. His 20-minute study sessions turned into an hour, then 2, then 3. He could study with a depth he had never experienced before. A few months later, the next major exam arrived. This time, Ryan didn't walk in with arrogance. He walked in with preparation. When the results were posted, Ryan hadn't just passed. He had secured first place. He realized then that this victory wasn't due to his natural smarts or luck. It was the direct result of the discipline he had forged in the quiet hours of the night. About a year later, Ryan stood on a grand stage to receive a prestigious medical scholarship. As he held the award, he scanned the crowd and thought back to that day on the playground. He remembered the final wisdom Coach Miller had shared with him. The mind is like a wild horse. If you do not control it, it will drag you wildly wherever it wants to go. But if you train it, if you break it in with discipline, it will carry you faithfully to your destination. From that day on, Ryan lived by one unshakable principle. Train your mind with discipline, and success will surely follow.